You're done. Go.
Everyone hear me? You have a mute.
Yes.
Hi guys, how are you doing?
All is
And
well.
that's good. Well, this is Michelle Diamond, and we are welcoming you guys back to another edition of In the House Media House Calls inside of 285. And today I am just amazed and just ready to delve right in. And we have the legendary Dr. Angelo Ellerbee. He is an entertainment powerhouse as well as a veteran. And I just want to introduce him to you guys and just see what he has in store for us, what he's been up to, especially during the pandemic, and just go over everything that he's done in the past and all the contributions that he's made to the PR world as well as the media industry. So, Dr. Ellaby, I know that faith for you is a very important part of your work, and you incorporate that into your daily routine. That was one thing that I read, and I just want you to express how important that is to you.
Well, first of all, let me say thank you to you and Jerome for having me on this evening. I just want to always give praise and always want to acknowledge God, who is my maker and my keeper, who is always first in my life and always will be first in my life. He is my inspiration, my motivation. He's my doctor. He's my lawyer. Most of all, he's my daily consultant. And I give God 45 minutes out of each day of my life because he allows me 24 hours each day for life. And so I think that everything is a give back. I think that we all are reciprocal and should be reciprocal to the blessings in which we receive. And we should never ever take those things like life for granted and the functions of our bodies for granted and the movement of our bodies for granted, but we should be appreciative and we should share the work and the word of him to others so that we can really magnify the strengths of where his blessings flow. That's first and foremost for me. Uh, the wonderful thing about what I do is that I really don't do it. It's really, I'm no more than a vessel of his work. I believe in fairness. I believe in openness and honesty. I believe that it's very, very important to be who you are. Today, so many people want to play the pretender game.
Correct.
I don't like playing the pretender game. I like to play the real game called life because life is not a game. It is a gift.
Absolutely.
And I think that we have to really have an appreciation for the giving and that we need to take life very seriously. We need to look at ourselves in the mirror and ask, do we have to change anything that we're looking at? And then we have to look inside and see wherever those messed up pieces in our lives may be and ask for change in that. So we can set ourselves in the right pattern. The great thing about life is that you learn the difference in right and wrong. It's the same energy. If you know you're doing wrong, you need to make it right. And if you know you're doing it right, you need to make it tight and right. And you need to move with that flow. You know when you are dealing with, when you have friends and you know that these so-called people that you call friends, I always tell people to take the word friend and split it in
Very
in the
likely.
middle. And if you split it in the middle, you find that you got an end of a friend. And that's why I always say the man upstairs is my friend. He is my beginning and he's my end and he's my middle. I believe in this industry that the we always talk about money being the root of all evil. And I always say that jealousy is the root of all evil. People can't be happy for one another. We have to learn the importance of being happy for each other. We have to learn to be happy as a collective for a community. We need to learn to be raised by a village and not just by an individual, and that's by example of experiences. I just really want people to understand what they have. I don't look at anything in life as a failure. I don't think anyone can fail. I don't think anyone has failed unless they're doing something that's a takeaway from their lives, like drugs, like doing those negative things that you know is going to imprison you, that will
Right.
take away from you. the wrong people, you gotta like sit that to the side and you look at yourself as that king and that queen that you are, and crown yourself with empowerment to see through the obstacles and to uplift yourself and be all that you can be. Be original. Yeah, I hope
Absolutely.
somewhat I answered your my long dissertation, but I hope I answered
Oh,
your question.
no, absolutely. I mean, that is amazing, especially with, putting it out there basically in layman terms to everybody. That was needed, especially in this time and age. I think the relevance of what you stated is that we are faced with this pandemic in the year 2020, and we've faced many along the way over the years. However, this year, for whatever reason, it's more on a mass, scale, and people are now saying, hey, we have to preserve ourselves, and we have to figure out what's important and what's relevant in our lives, and making sure that we're putting God first, and making sure that we're pouring back into each other and taking care of ourselves, and it's absolutely necessary. Everything that you stated, placing God first and making sure that whatever we're doing, it's prioritized along the lines of not only our faith, but making sure that it's something that is beneficial to us in the long run, and something that, not only pleasing to ourselves, but as well as the Father above, because He's the one that basically judges us, and that's the only person we need to really answer to. So amazing response. I love it. So with faith being the core and your foundation, we know that you started out as a model in the industry. You went on to being a publicist, and you've worked with some of the greats. You're a legend yourself, and I'm again honored to be in your presence. I know you've worked with Dionne Warwick, Robert Kubel from Kool and the Gang. I know, Tume, and artists such as Mary J. Blige, Alicia Keys, Lionel Richie, DMX, and the list goes on and on and on. So starting out as a model, how did you merge from being a model into the whole publicist
Well,
genre of things?
in the United States, I was nobody's model because I didn't have a body, I didn't have the muscles and the whole of the bit. But overseas, the body types were totally different. And so I was very thin, as I am now. And I said, let's give it a challenge. Let's go over and see what can possibly happen. And so I had to be about 17 years old. And I asked my mother if I could go to Paris. And she said, yeah, you can go. I don't know how you're going to get there. You better not ask me for no money. I don't have no money to give you. And if you go over there, make sure you got enough money to get back with. And don't call me click, because I'm not going to accept it. You want to be grown? You want to be a man? Well, this is what I want you to go. And I went. I thought what I had was a good portfolio. I looked at it and it wasn't a good portfolio. So I didn't work at all for 6 months. I fried
Wow.
I fried chicken in a soul food restaurant and cut up collard greens for 6 months because
Stop it.
oh, you know what? My mother gave me survival skills. She said that you're going to have to learn everything. You don't know what you're going to do.
Well,
And
you're right.
she was 200% correct because when I went over there, I would stand in the tenement of a hotel and I didn't speak the language at all. I was really handicapped. So
Wow.
I went into this restaurant that spoke English. I told them what I was attempting to do and they gave me a job. I was there for like 6 months. A photographer walked in and said to me, you're from America and you're modeling, right? He said, so why are you here cutting up chicken and collard greens? I said, because I got to eat to live. So he said, let me look at your book. So he looked at my book. He said, oh, that's why you're not working. That's not you, is it? I said, no, it is me. And the pictures were not good. And one of my high school friends had took the pictures. So I thought I was doing something, but I wasn't. And he shot me all the pictures. And I began to work and work and work and work and work and work. And I think I didn't go to my high school graduation. I was still in Paris. I had something when I came back. I got the diploma and the whole of the bit there when I got back. But that was how I began in the industry, never having really an understanding of anything else but that, because that's all I thought I could do at that time. But my mother is the steering wheel to my car. She's my engine to the body of the car. And she was totally a no nonsense mother. My mother didn't believe in giving you anything. She believed that if you want it, you need to go get it. Or I will give you half of what you need to have to get what you want. And I never understood it when I was younger. But she was giving me survival skills. She gave me such skills that I was so in tune to understanding now in this time of my life what she was preparing me for. And so when I came back, she said, "Okay, so what you're going to do?" I came back. We were able to buy my mother a house, me and my sisters. I think I was 18, going on 18 when we bought the house for my mother. She said, "So now what you going to do? Because you ain't sitting in here. You're going to get up." My mother believed in contributors. Everybody, it was six of us. With her, it was seven. So everybody had to contribute something. You were not going to sit at a table and not contribute. In other words, you're going to pay rent. And she charged me at 17 years old, $600 a month. Oh, no, no. She was no nonsense. And
Right.
it had to be on time with paying her rent. So she said, "You need to go to college." Because I don't want no, my mother always said to me, "I think, Angelo, that you are great. You're not just great because you're my child, but I want the best for you. So I want you to be greater. So I want you to go to college." And she said, "There will be a time in your life that I will come to you and I will say, 'Son, you're the greatest.'" And she
That's
did.
amazing.
She did before she passed.
Amazing.
But the reality in all of it is that she made me the self-sustaining to support myself. And everything that she taught me, like pulling the chair out for a woman when you go to sit down, and mannerisms and all these things, I was like, "Oh, this lady is so dated. She does." But that is all of my mother's teachings. Is what I made my money on.
Yep.
That's
And
why I
that's
developed my artist
amazing.
development program. That's with Mary J. Blige and Alicia Keys. My mother was the wheel to the car that taught me the necessities of life and the life conditioning of manners. And that's what I put back over to my clients. So I went to FIT, I designed clothes for a very short period of time. I did like little boutique stores like in Jersey and Johns and Company, and then I think we did some things and Lords and Taylors and da 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 da. Da. So I had my, and then I went into styling. I styled for a lot of magazines and a lot of celebrities. I initially started to do fashion shows in the city of Newark. I come from, and Newark, I look at Newark as being the greatest city in the world because it's always been so good to me, in terms of providing me with education, a job, and all those things that I didn't, that was very, very hard to come by. And so they gave me a job, and I would do these fashion shows, and I had the fundraisers for the Peter Ho Foundation, which was an AIDS and HIV organization that I raised money for, and consciously bringing an awareness to a community about this disease because they looked at this disease as a plague. It was like, ah. And then
Right.
I always thought about the importance of education for people who look like me. And so we began to raise dollars and cents for the
Negro College Fund.
exactly. And it
Yes.
goes on and on, it goes on and on. So I thought that my community was deprived in terms of culture. And I wanted Newark to witness the Alvin Ailey dancers. So I brought in the Alvin Ailey dancers, Carmen DeLavalon and Joffrey Holden and Susan Taylor and Huggy Bear and Carl Pay. So we did these fashion shows that raised not just dollars and cents, but it was really important for me that the culture, that we was embracing culture and that these people never in my community ever went outside of their backyards. I
Right.
got the opportunity to go to Paris and to go to London and go all over the world. And some of these people didn't go out of their backyard, so they didn't understand anything but those things that happened within the city. So it was all about teach one, reach one, and let us grow collectively.
Mhm.
Wow.
Okay, well, that is so amazing because, we want to thank you first and foremost for being the humanitarian that you are and
Thank you.
being active. And, because, we have our activists and, just giving back is something that is very relevant, not only then, but now. And, when you stated, people that look like you and even in the LGBT community, just, ensuring that they have a staple, somebody that they can look up to, and someone that sets the bar and show that don't judge based on what you see. You have to educate yourself and get to understand who the
Absolutely.
person is.
It's,
So
it's inclusion. It's inclusion.
thank
God
you.
created all of us. I say, be who you are. I don't care who you are, what you are, be that. Don't be no imitation. Be who you are. And if you accept you, I tell people every single day out of my life, I am romantically in love with Angelo Ellerbee. I love me some me. Because when I love me, I can love you more. When I can identify with me and not live in a cage and live 3 and 4 and 5 different lives, I'm not doing that. I'm going to live this one life that he blessed me with. And what do
Absolutely.
I care about what you think about me? I always used to tell people in the corporate world, keep your eyes on my actions and not inside of my bedroom. And then you'll have a better understanding of my capabilities and my qualifications to do a job. And I
Right.
tell young people today, it's we, so many people stood on the shoulders of freedom and fighting for your rights for you to live your life the way that you live now. Live your life. Don't live outside of your life. Don't live a life for somebody else because your mother didn't understand, your father didn't understand. That's in all respects. Be who you are. If you're a singer, don't try to be another Beyonce. Don't try to be another Mary J. Blige, because you know what? Those spots have been filled.
Correct.
Be original. Be who you are. That's what's important.
Correct. Originality and bringing your content, self truth is always what I preach, and making sure that, you have your voice,
Yep.
and, a good friend of ours says, be you, be unique. And shout out to my good friend for that. You have to, and with that being said, another person that was very unique, that you had the, honor of working with was Michael Jackson. How did that come about?
That was an amazing feat within itself. There was a period in Michael's life where I came in really to do damage control more than doing publicity or artist development. In that time, we were going through a crisis, if you will. And his head of PR called me up, Bob Jones, and simply says, Angela, there's a crisis going on with Michael. I said, yeah, I think the world knows what the crisis is. He says, and I think we're calling you because they say that you're the problem solver. I said, okay, I'm not the miracle worker, but I will try to solve the problem. And so I said to them, as I say to everyone, it's so important to go back to the scene of the accident, go back to where it began. And so there was a guy by the name of Vince Ferguson. Him and I created what was the Children's Choice Awards. And it was really across the street. Well, we held it at the City Center. And at that time, it was across the street from my office on 7th Avenue. And so we created this program where we brought in the first lady of the state of New York. Mrs. Cuomo came in, and then we did some other awards. But the key thing is that we invited 3,000 kids to come in and to embrace and see this different kind of platform of entertainment. And then we brought in Michael Jackson. And this is my first time meeting him. It's the strangest thing. I've spoken to him over the phone twice, but I've never at that point met him. So somebody said, Ansel, you're being called to the back of City Center. I said, so who wants me in the back of City Center? So it's this big garbage truck in the back, right? And these garbage men are loading in garbage. And I stopped and I said, well, what? And I heard someone say, Mr. Ellerbee, Mr. Ellerbee. I said, who the hell is? Okay. So I walked up to the truck and it was Michael Jackson. And I said, Mr. Jackson? And he said, I told you to call me Michael. I said, okay, Mr. Jackson. And so he shook my hand and then he embraced me. And he says that I think what you've done to me is incredible. But when this guy walked on the stage,
Hello?
it was the parting of the seas, totally the parting of the seas. So going back to the kids, not because all the time you would see is Michael with one child, but now you got 3,000 of them, and they're screaming and they're yelling. So the next day, at every newspaper and TV channel across the country, no, not across the country, across the globe, was saying how wonderful this thing was. So it's just really important. I mean, all of what I do is a part of damage control, is artist development, is publicity, is photo shoots. I always look at my company as a one-stop kind of shop, where when you come here, you take your shopping cart, you go down that aisle, you should be able to get every service that you're looking for within the entertainment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Because you
So
definitely
that's
bring,
my Michael Jackson story.
and I love it. And that's awesome. May he continue to rest in peace. Lovely, lovely legend. Miss his music, so uh, music in itself with these new artists coming up. We also know that you've had some of the Islanders under your belt as well. I saw Patra and Shep.
Patra and
You're
Shep.
taking it to the island. Shabba. Yes.
Yeah, maybe that was a very interesting time in my life. So you know about this culture that is not understanding my culture. If you understand,
I'm from the islands. I'm from Jamaica.
Okay. So that culture doesn't necessarily welcome my culture.
Right.
And so there was a young lady by the name of Vivian Scott, now Vivian Scott Chu, who headed up Sony Music. And Vivian and I, at that time, became very, very good friends. And she would send a great deal of her artists to me. And there was this young girl that she said, Angelo, I have somebody I think that only you can deal with. And I was like, what do you mean? She said, I want you to take her from scratch and make her who she was. Okay. So I had several conversations over the phone, and my staff and I, we would all get on the phone and we would talk to her. And finally, we get the chance to meet her. And I said, oh, whoa. We got some work to do here,
Work
right?
to do, right.
So I said, okay, so let's do braids.
Okay, I remember that.
Let's do the braids. Let's make her very sexy, because Shaba was the king of dance hall.
Correct.
And now she needed to be the queen.
The queen of dance hall, yes.
So I began to work with Patra. I remember her in Tupac, in Yo-Yo.
Yes.
Oh, there's a romantic. Yeah.
Yes.
So, Baby in the Yard. I was down in Jamaica when we did that video. We did everything step by step with Patra. We began to educate her and teach her the U.S. customs, because it's very different from the Jamaican customs of
it is
raised and the da 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 da. So you're now living in America, and because you're living in America, you have to make some kind of adjustments to your day to day and how you treat and how you interact with people. And so Patra, I adored working with Patra because I could be so creative. And I was creative to the 9th degree with her, and they allowed me to be creative with her, from her videos to her photo shoots, all that stuff we did for Patra. And lovingly to say, I spoke to her a month ago, and she looked incredible. She's working on a TV show, a cooking show. She owns restaurants in Jamaica. She's cooking. She's married now, and I'm just happy to see people blossom and grow. And never forget how you got to where you were. That's very important to me.
Absolutely. That is so amazing. And, tops off, because it kind of intertwines with what InDaHouseMedia stands for as well. Welcoming everyone in the house and creating opportunities. And all we ask is that you pay it forward and never forget where you came from, and I just love everything, the aura you give off, everything. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
And You mentioned that your mom, basically is your mentor and your driving force. And I read where you said, you couldn't sit at her table without having some sort of sense of success. And it was basically these morals that she instilled in you as a child, as far as you learning how to budget and preparing you for the real world. So, with your mom being that steering wheel, you said, um, what else do you feel that your mom contributed to who you are as a person today?
It's countless. It's like you can't count the many ways that she raised me and provided for me and gave me a sense of understanding to life. I have two brothers, four sisters, and then it's me.
Oh,
And so my mother taught us all the same. I think that there was a little bias because I was the youngest out of all. So my brothers and sisters always thought that I was the spoiled one. But my mother didn't allow us to be spoiled. My job was to spoil her. And as I developed in doing what I am currently doing back then and now, it was my job to spoil her because she gave so much to me. She gave so much to my brothers and sisters. But more importantly, we had a bond because I was the last one there, and we shared we shared motivation. And my mother would not let me sit. She would never ever let me get depressed. She said, "You got 2 hours to feel sorry for yourself. After them 2 hours, you better go. You better go in that backyard and run around the backyard and feel happy." And so I think of some of these things as I go through life now and its challenges. I smile at it and I give myself the 2 hours that I need to get it all back together, to get together again. I think it's really important that we value our parents. We value our seniors. And the thing that knocks me down with young people today, they really believe that once you get to be 60 and 70 years old, there's no use to you. No, 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 no. You have life until you have death. And you need to take these experiences of these people who have been there and gone down that road. You need to use those experiences. And you need to reach out to people that can aid and assist you, that have gone through the struggle and the fight that you've gone through, or that you don't have to go through because they've done it for you. I
correct.
would believe that it's just very, very important that we have an appreciation to life and have an appreciation to then, back then, because if you look, even though white America does not want us to have an appreciation to our many contributions in building America and building this country, we do have a history. And we
Yes.
need to look at the struggle and the plights that our ancestors went through so that we'll understand and we're still going through it today. But I think we really need to just look. I mean, I think that what is taking place in this day and time with young people is phenomenal because it's a collective. We have come together to fight for a particular cause, for rights, for freedom.
Yes.
Enough is enough. And so now we are coming together to fight for what we know is right. We want to wrong their rights. We
Yes.
want to take their wrongs and make them right. And slowly but surely, it's not a cup of instant coffee, it's brewed coffee that's going to make white America wake up to understand what they have done to us as a body of people.
People.
So you have Black Lives Matters, you have all these different
Correct.
organizations. I say bravo, bravo, bravo. I say that we need to fight for our rights. We need to understand our many contributions. We need to feel good about our heritage. The things that I would really like to see happen is some consistency and support to one another.
Yes.
I'd like to see ownership. I'd
And it
like to
has
see
to be cohesive.
yes, cohesive. And I'd like to see that young people will take on ownership,
Yes.
own something. When you own
Accountability.
something, yes, don't just rent something, don't just lease something, but own something, whatever it is. So
Invest in yourselves.
yeah, when you start talking about music back in the day and time, there was no ownership. There was maybe two or three outstanding people of color that owned their masters, but everybody else didn't write their music,
That is so true.
And so they're still working today off of somebody else's music. And then the music industry has not been fair to people of color, to black and brown people. They have pimped us and pimped us, but you know, a good
Correct.
a good pimp is gonna take care of this hoes and this prostitutes. If you don't feed them and give them the things that they need in order to do what you ask them to do, they're gonna at some point rebel. And I
Right.
think that's what we at now. We're at the rebuilding period to simply say, no, 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 no more. We want this, we want this, we want this in order for you to get this. And I just believe that where we're at today in this day and this time, we should have been there. But I'm appreciating this time. And I'm appreciating us having an understanding of the importance of who we are,
Yes.
and that
So,
we are human beings, and that we are intelligent, and that we are articulate, and that we are contributors, and that we are donators, and that we are
and that
all of
we
those,
are worthy,
and we're
we are
worthy of it.
worthy.
Absolutely,
Exactly. Exactly.
absolutely.
A lot of us, and it's sad to say, we don't understand our self-worth. And that's a big problem. And, on the prior interviews that I had, and we discussed it, teaching financial literacy, educating the young ones coming up, about who they are, where they came from. And that's why I'm so passionate about, the program that we're working hand in hand with. You mentioned going back to our roots, where we came from, educating the young ones that, our ancestors didn't go through things in vain for us to just sit here
Exactly.
and just accept and be like, okay, and we're working hand in hand with the Harriet Tubman Learning Center, her
Right.
great niece, Rita Daniels. And
Mhm.
we are, we did an event. It was an initial fundraiser, and we're working with her on some huge things coming up, and we'll definitely speak to you about that as well, because it's all about inclusivity, and we have to make sure that as a people, we realize that united we stand and divided we part. That's a phrase that's been around for centuries, and we just lose sight of that. Stop this green-eyed monster thing about, oh, we're better than the next person, or just because Tom and Mary down the block have their own business and they're doing well, I'm not going to go and support them, but I'm going to go next door to Mr. Chu. Like, that mentality has to
No, no,
stop.
no. You know what? You hit some very key points for me. And when you just look at today, and you see how the people who don't look like you and I, they can have whatever problems they're having internally in their families. Before they give it to you, they're gonna take that little small problem that they have with that family member and give it right back to them.
Exactly.
We have to have the freedom to give each other a chance. Sure, we're gonna screw up once, we're gonna screw up twice. It's a baseball game, but keep giving us a chance. Allow us to learn. Because they do, those people who don't necessarily look like us, they screw up just like we do. Because we all are what?
Absolutely.
We're all
Absolutely.
human beings.
Yes.
And so, but if we just embrace our community with a little bit more trust and belief, we can break down some barriers. I
Yes.
don't believe that nobody is better than I. I'm not
Mm.
intimidated by the color of your skin. I'm not intimidated by your degrees. I'm so secure in who I am as a professional and as a person with the intimidation. I'm intimidated by the man upstairs.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Absolutely. And it's so sad, and it behooves me, especially knowing that collectively as a whole, we hold so much weight, especially with this economy. We're talking about the black dollar and so forth, and how much we can do collectively as a people if we just learn to trust, and give back, willingly, like
You know,
just
the
pour back
thing
into each
is that
other.
we've been so conditioned to not to trust. And so people have to earn the trust of another person. I'm kind of clear on that. And particularly when it comes down in this music industry or this entertainment industry, you have trust and you trust and you got every time back, right? So I say you must earn you got to earn this trust. I understand. I really do understand. And I think it's just individualized. But I think that the big and the most collective picture is that we must trust. But we almost also have to admit it. We have to individualize that relationship of trust because it's not the big picture. It's those individual pictures. It's just like everybody is worried about who's going to be president of the United States. I'm worried about local because the presidents ain't controlling what's
What's
local.
going on?
What's
That's
going
so
on local
true.
in your house, in your community? That's the bigger picture. I'm not living in that picture. I'm living in what my congressperson does, what my mayor does, what my council people. That's where my concern is. Yeah, I'm going to vote, but my concern is my house.
Right. Who's going to be over us? Like, the governance of what's happening right here,
Yeah,
because, and the bottom line, when everything came down with the pandemic and you hit the nail on the head, it was delegated to each state as to
exactly.
what that governor thought was beneficial for their people. So
Exactly. You got my
I'm with you. I'm with you 100% there. And that was my next question to you, actually, is through this entire pandemic, what were you doing? Like, did you find it to be overwhelming or you just kept busy?
I'm gonna try to tell you, I have been working and working and working and working. I think when it first hit, I was very nervous because I live alone, and I think that the media just put so much drama on top of it that you were afraid to go anywhere. And then when I got used to it as it was, um, I always prayed. And I'm telling you, I haven't been this busy in maybe 5 years because it's just like everything is one thing and everything is happening all over, and the phones are constantly ringing. My staff is constantly, so I'm blessed with it. I've learned to work outside of the detour, which is the pandemic. I think you have to learn how to work around those things that may seem to block your blessings. I can't allow anything to block my blessings. And if it does, it's going to be temporary. So I remained very, very busy. And I had to find ways to go about how I was going to book these people. I know that there was no tours, but can we do
Right.
virtual performances or concerts? And so that's what we're starting to do now.
Right. Or famous Zoom.
Well, I mean, I have done so many, and my clients have done so many Zooms. It's
Uh,
so funny now. It's a running joke when I go to talk to them. They said, "Oh, another Zoom." I said, "No, it's not another Zoom. It's going to be it's something else." And then they would start laughing. But I'm just like really really blessed to have worked. Um, I celebrated my 51st year last week in the
oh,
business.
wow. Well, happy belated.
Thank you. And so I it hasn't, God, knock
You
on
look
wood.
amazing, just to
Thank
let
you
you
very
know.
much. Thank you
You're
very much.
welcome.
But I know I just kept it moving. And I
That's
tell
good.
everybody who calls me and they complain, I was like, uh, can you pay your rent this month? They say, yeah. I said, did you eat today? They said, yeah. I said, okay, so what we talking about?
That's so true.
Let's be thankful for, and let's just be thankful for those little things because those little things are some of the things that other people don't have.
Right.
When you start to talk about hunger and you start to talk about people living on the streets and you're talking, that's a concern and a worry.
Starvation and
Starvation,
the
right?
homeless, we see so many people under the bridges, it's just right. So
We got a lot to be thankful for. And let's
exactly.
show that our thanks and our appreciation for what we do have. And let's
Yes,
work towards what we want to have.
true. Very
Yeah.
true. Very true. So what can the audience and the world expect from the amazing
Uh,
Angelo Ellerbee coming up?
well, I am starting to, I don't know what this whole thing is with Angelo Ellerbee at this point. I'm on the cover of a magazine of,
Mhm.
what is it? Sapphire Emerald. There's two more covers that I'll be doing. I just shot for. And I'll let you know because when they come out, but they
Right,
come
right.
out like next month. Uh, 20th Century Fox brought my life story about 10 years ago. And so now we're starting to move on a doc on my life.
Wow.
This should be a quite special documentary on my life. So yeah.
Look, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna bring you on too. You and Jerome
Yes, yes. Look,
will
I'll
bring
be
you guys
very.
on.
Look, I already told you you're my new mentor. Okay.
Sure, thank you very much.
So
Thank you.
absolutely.
So,
I mean,
so that's what's going on in my life. I'm just thankful and staying busy and trying to stay productive and trying to help wherever I can. Um, Very thankful, just very, very thankful.
ah, so true. I mean, it's a breath of fresh air to see when people are embracing their now
Yeah,
and realizing that this is a moment that you're supposed to be grateful and thankful for, because we heard so many people that didn't make it.
yeah.
And just being able to be here in this moment, I'm grateful, because I still have life and I still have breath and I'm able to, share this, with my viewers, the amazing Dr.
Well,
Angelo Ellerbee. And
thank
he's
you.
expressing the same thoughts, just being grateful and thankful to be here. And, that's what I love about you, and you said something about you give no apologies for setting aside time for inner work to strengthen faith.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's so important to me. That's really, I, 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 I couldn't live without it. I mean, would I live without it? Is the question. I know I wouldn't. Would I be sane? No, I'd probably be cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. It's just really important for me to give back to him. I can't give him anything tangible. All I can do is give him what I know he wants. It's that glory and that praise, and I think it's just really important. And anyone that I'm not trying to tell some, I'm nobody's born again Christian. I have faith and I have belief, and I know who orchestrates my life, who's my conductor. I know who's my band leader, and I can't sing a song without him.
Right, absolutely.
He
So
writes the lyrics to my life.
that is so true. And you are also a veteran. Um, which branch did you serve in?
I'm absolutely not. I wish I was a veteran. I'm a veteran for the music industry.
Okay, okay,
Oh,
so just the guru.
no, no,
Okay.
no. You know what, girl? I wish that I have ever been a part of the military, but never. Oh, never.
Okay, well, just the veteran for the, and not just because it's a legendary thing. So that was my bad there. So veteran for
Oh,
the
okay. It's okay,
industry.
girl.
So,
It's
and that
okay.
is awesome. So
Thank you.
neither here or there. So just to touch on it with the LGBT community,
Yeah.
we've seen so many changes over the years.
Mhm.
What do you foresee with everything that's happening now?
What I would like to see is that judgment will not be made on another human being, that you will not be go inside of their minds to wonder why, that you would accept them for who they are and how they position and how they present themselves. You will call them by their names. You would allow them to respond to you back respectfully by calling you by your name and not out of your name. I think that we're in a time now where people are growing and people are blossoming, particularly in this particular community and acceptance, but it should be more of it. I think we're still fighting in every end of our community for the acceptance. I think first and foremost that we accept ourselves and we love ourselves so much. We would like to hear that echo back. But that's like the gospel hymn, one day at a time, sweet Jesus. That's all we're asking of you. And I
Yeah.
think that step by step, we get closer to our rewards of life. Uh, all things are going to be possible.
That's amazing. So I just want to take this time to tell you thank you very, very much for stopping in and chopping it up with us here on In the House Media House Called inside of 285. You've touched on some amazing things. We definitely want to keep on following you to see how much you're doing and what else you have coming up, because like I told you, I'm there for it. And just the ending itself about acceptance, you know, with the LGBT community, it's not only that, it's overall as a people, we all have to accept who we are, period, in order to grow. And that's where the growth mindset come in. And on that note, guys, thank you again for joining In the House Media House Call. This is your girl, Michelle Diamond, and the amazing Dr. Angelo Ellerbee, guru and legendary powerhouse himself. And until next time, stay tuned, stay tuned. We have lots more in store. And make sure you check out In the House Media Showcase. Are you ready for prime time? November 19th. All our R&B indie artists, make sure you drop in and submit your information before November 6th. See you soon.
God bless.
You too.